It's week 10 in the NFL. Can you believe it? We're in the double digits of the season, and the Dallas Cowboys are back at home taking on another division rival, the New York Giants. Let's talk about it.
Prescott, touchdown. Throw, look at middle, sacked again by Parsons again. CeeDee Lamb, was he down? They say no for now, and he's into the end zone.
Welcome back to another pregame prediction video. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Cowboys content. I'll be here all season long. The Dallas Cowboys are back at AT&T Stadium where they have been completely dominant. And we'll break that down here in just a little bit. But then on the other side, you got the New York Giants 2-7. They're dwindling. They're on life support. I mean, at this point, you're thinking draft, right? With a 2-7 record, where you're at in the NFC East, you're kind of looking towards the future already, especially with some of the injuries that they've been having. But the Cowboys have everything to play for. And they're sitting at a 5-3 record after losing on the road again to the Philadelphia Eagles. So this, even though you look at this game from a naked perspective, a naked eye perspective, there are some challenges, right? Look, the Cowboys should win this game. I'm just going to say it. Cowboys should win this game, and they will win this game. I have full confidence in them doing so. But you definitely, to quote the great Doc Rivers, NBA head coach, you don't want to play with your meat. So division games bring all sorts of different variables, different levels of competition, but this is one that I expect the Cowboys to take care of business with. Something you should notate, something you should know is that the Cowboys have not lost back-to-back games in a while. Hasn't happened this year, did not happen last year. This team play super well coming off of the loss. And if you look at the NFL schedule, the Cowboys schedule, when they lost to the Cardinals, they beat the Patriots 38-3. When they lost to the San Francisco 49ers, they won on the road, defeating the Chargers 20-17. So this is their third loss of the season. They got a good game here. They got a good matchup here against the Giants at home to bounce back. Now, let's get into those home games right there, because I was telling y'all we got to talk about that. So the Cowboys are insane at home. I don't know when this happened. It definitely was last year, because the Cowboys were undefeated at home, and I never thought I would ever say that. That's ridiculous. But look at these stats. They beat the Jets 30-10. They beat the Patriots 38-3. They beat the Rams 43-20. The amount of points that they're scoring is getting higher. 30, 38, 43. And now you're playing a Giants team that's 2-7 without their starting quarterback, without their tight end that they traded for in the offseason, and a dwindled offensive line. And now their only weapon is Saquon Barkley. And now you're playing that team, that type of Giants team that you already beat 40-0 at their home stadium in the season opener. This just screams all kinds of chaos for the Giants. I've never, honestly, I never think I've ever seen a one-sided matchup like I've seen right here. And I want to take a look at this schedule here really quick, and this is really important. Giants aren't playing for much at this point, like I mentioned, but the Cowboys are. You look at the three games coming up here. You got the Giants, you got the Panthers, you got the Commanders. From a basic viewer perspective, you can look at those games and be like, okay, we're 5-3. We should be 8-3 by the next time we take on, or we should be in a really good situation when we play Thursday night prime football against Seattle Seahawks, which would be a really big game. And then after that, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's not try to overlook. Let's try to take it week by week. This game does not scare me. I will say that out front. This game does not worry me. If the Dallas Cowboys find a way to lose against the 2-7 New York Giants, we should never, ever, ever this season talk about them being championship contenders. and I don't think they will. I don't believe they will. They'll handle their business, especially coming off the loss. But that's just, that's where they're at. But this is where they really have to just take care of these games. Like I always say, good teams take care of the teams that they should. Great teams do it on a consistent basis. And these next three games are pretty simple. Again, not really worried about the Giants one. I would be honest. I would be not living up to my brand of being unbiased and realistic if I told you guys that the Carolina Panthers game, for some reason, it doesn't scare me, but it makes me think for a moment, because going on the road is always a tough test for this team. And then the Commanders, I think, on Thanksgiving will actually be somewhat of a game. Well, we'll talk about that all in the next coming weeks, but let's jump on in. Cowboys defense versus this Giants offense. Let's put up the graphic there. Wow. We have not seen anything like this in our pregame prediction videos, have we? Just completely lopsided. Now, there is one thing that they're better at than the Dallas Cowboys, and they are better at running the football, but let's talk about that a little bit more in detail when we talk about Saquon Barkley. But like I said, Darren Waller, their biggest acquisition in the offseason, he's on IR. Daniel Jones, unfortunately, I love Daniel Jones. I'm a DJ fan. He's out for the season with the injury that he suffered last game. Evan Neal was inactive, one of their significant parts of their offensive line. These guys are just as a football fan, you feel, man, like we've been there before. I'm not going to come up here and say whatever and poke fun at this situation. It sucks, man. And I feel for the Giants fans. If you know a Giants fan, give them a hug today. This is tough. And you know what? Before we try to puff our chest and flex on them, we've been there before, man. We've had some terrible seasons where our quarterback has gone down or someone has gone down, and we've just limped week to week, and somehow we thought we had a chance. So, hug a Giants fan today. That's your challenge. And Tommy DeVito is most likely going to be the starter. There's not a lot of tape on him, which could that be? Could that be the secret to beating the Cowboys? I don't think so. This defense is going to have a field day. But if it's not Tommy DeVito, it could be Jacob Eason. Adam Schefter reported that they signed former Panthers, 49ers, Seahawks, Colts quarterback Jacob Eason to their practice squad. So you could potentially see him get elevated before the game day. They also have Matt Barkley, former Philadelphia Eagle. That's the only former team that I know him of. But that's their quarterback room right now. Again, I'm going to try to keep a straight face. It's unfortunate. We've been in that situation before, but that's the quarterback room that we're looking at there. If we take a look at their schedule, it's been a rough one. They beat the Commanders 14-7, believe it or not, and they beat the Cardinals back in week 2. They were on a 4-game losing streak before the Commanders win. Now they're on a 2-game losing streak. They lost in overtime to the Jets. They got spanked by the Las Vegas Raiders, who just had fired their coach midweek. And now they take on Cowboys offense where Dak is playing lights out. CeeDee Lamb just dropped 150-plus yards, and the defense sacked them 7 times the last time that they played, and the Giants had all their players then. So that's, so let's, their only hope is Saquon Barkley. And I say this every time that we talk about the Cowboys and the Giants. They're pretty one-dimensional when it comes to offense. They got Jalen Hyatt, who could have a pretty good game just with him being the only option, and they got Darius Slayton. So, you could see some more targets, and you could see the statistics on them rise up a little bit. But every time I talk about the Giants, they're one-dimensional. If you could stop Saquon Barkley from running, from passing, he is the dual attack, and that's what the Giants have based their offense on. If you think I'm wrong, look at all the videos that I have made about the Giants in the past couple of years in my pregame prediction videos. I've said the same thing every single time, and we've executed every single time, and we swept them last year, and we're going to sweep them this year. So I don't know what else to tell you. If you can shut down this one-dimensional offense surrounded by Saquon Barkley, meaning you load the box, you double. I'm not saying that you're going to have to double him in coverage because that's not really necessary, but just for the sake of an example, like if you just eliminate Saquon Barkley in this game, we're looking at another 40-0, and I'm scared of it maybe getting up to the 50s. But the Cowboys, here's another fun fact: the Cowboys have not allowed a 100-yard rusher or receiver this season, and I think weirdly enough, this might be the game that could have a little bit of wiggle room with that, just because Saquon being the spotlight and the Cowboys not being as efficient as they were with the running defense. But, I'm pulling stuff out of my you-know-what. I'm trying my best to make this sound competitive and to make it sound like the Giants are going to come out with the fight, but they're just not in a good place. They're not in a good place. And you know what? If you look at my pregame prediction video with the Cowboys and the Cardinals, there was a moment where I said, I've never felt this confident since the Broncos game where the Broncos beat the Cowboys and the Texans game where it went into the final minute or 2 minutes. I do not have this feeling for this game. The Cowboys will handle their business. So let's jump on to our defensive predictions. Last time the Cowboys had 7 sacks on opening night and in New York, and that's when they had all their players. I don't think it's going to be that high. I'm not going to throw Madden stats at you for this one. I think the Cowboys roughly get 4 sacks on Sunday. And then I do believe it's time for number 54 to be unleashed. I do believe Sam Williams has a tremendous big day, and he steps out and he steps up, and he's going to be one of the glaring parts of this game when all is said and done. And last but not least, I do believe the defense scores some points in this one. They had no turnovers last week, so they get back into that rhythm this week. They get a defensive touchdown in Week 10 against the Giants. Moving on into the offense, let's bring that chart back up. Cowboys are 16th in offense, but they're rolling, man. In terms of passing the football, CeeDee Lamb is rocking. Dak Prescott is rocking. One thing that I really need this game to focus on is the running game. Let's take a step back and look at that schedule again. If you look at Dak Prescott's success, it's really been based on the confidence that he's built in the past 3 games after that really bad game in San Francisco. You look at what he did against the Chargers, the Rams, the Eagles, and we'll pull out the schedule here and we'll pull up this stat. 8 touchdowns, 1 interception in the past 3 games for Dak Prescott. It's actually 9 total touchdowns because he had 1 that he ran in against the Chargers on Monday night and 8 passing touchdowns. That I mentioned that because those games are vital, and it helped build his confidence to have the game that he did in Philadelphia. I'm going to say that needs to apply to Tony Pollard. At this point, it's a pretty steady 3-game stretch here. Of course, nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. I'm not saying we're going to win all 3. We're going to take it on a week-to-week basis. But this really is a time where you can turn the focus up and the attention to detail on the running game because you will need it after Week 13 when you play the Seahawks, when you play the Eagles, when you play the Bills, when you play the Dolphins, when you play the Lions. That's an insane schedule. It's going to be an insane part of the season when we get there. But this is a moment where could Dak Prescott have 4 or 5 touchdowns? Yes. And would I be happy? Yeah. But let's divert the resources here to getting Tony Pollard involved back into this offense and having a good game and building that confidence for him. And I mentioned it last pregame prediction video, but remember when John Machada tweeted this out asking Tony Pollard about having a big game, and he said, "It's coming. I just know it. Speak it into existence." Now, I really had hoped, and low-key was hoping it was going to be against the Eagles, but Dak was just passing, and that game needed it. So is this a game where Tony Pollard can break loose, get back to his former self? Absolutely. Should it be done against the Giants? Absolutely. You look at that defense, 27th in the league. It can be done. It should be done. And if the Cowboys struggle to run the football, there are bigger issues than Tony Pollard in this offensive line. We probably got to be looking at coaching. Mike Solari, the new offensive line coach, brought in this past offseason. But regardless, this should be a game where I believe it should be emphasized on Tony Pollard. We know Dak can throw it, man. We know we got really great weapons, and we just recently picked up Martavis Bryant, was recently reinstated, hasn't played since 2018. But let's get back to running the football because we're going to need that after Thanksgiving. Regardless, let's talk a little bit about Dak Prescott, right? 11-2 record all time against the Giants. I kid about it every single time, but it's no longer a joke. It's become a reality. They are the Dakota Giants. They are the New York Prescotts. Call them that because Dak Prescott has owned the city of New York his entire career. He's been tremendous, having 3 great games back to back to back. And then if we jump over to CeeDee Lamb, this could potentially be another big game for CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if he's going to get up to that 190-yard mark. I don't know if we necessarily need that, but he can definitely definitely have another 100-yard game against the New York Giants and make it 4 games in a row where he's had 100-plus yards. But let's close with this, my offensive predictions here for the Cowboys and the Giants in Week 10. I believe Tony Pollard does get a big game, and he shows out against the Giants, and this is much needed for fans, for the team, for Tony Pollard. I believe Tony Pollard runs for 100-plus yards in Week 10 against this Giants defense. Now, on the other side of that, I think Dak Prescott has a highly efficient day. I don't think we need him to sling over 350 yards again. He's just going to be a highly efficient quarterback, smart quarterback, not turning the ball over. And I got Dak Prescott going 2 touchdowns and throwing for 175-plus yards. And last but not least, I'm going to surprise y'all with a special teams prediction here. I do believe Kevontae Turpin gets in the end zone as a returner, and he's either going to return a punt return or kick return. I'm calling it. It's going to happen. And there we go, my defensive and offensive predictions for Week 10. Be sure to comment down below yours. I really want to know, and let's see where we end up at the end of the game. And you guys could always like and subscribe for more Cowboys content, because I'm always here after the game with my post-game reaction videos. But here we go. Game prediction for Week 10 for the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys will sweep the New York Giants for the second year in a row. This game will be no competition. And if the Cowboys lose this game, we should never, ever talk about them being contenders again. But we don't have to worry about that, because the Cowboys are great coming off of a loss. They're incredible at home. They will take care of business against the Giants. I got an insane prediction here, and you could go anywhere with this game prediction and this score prediction, but I got the Cowboys scoring 48 and the Giants scoring 10. Cowboys advance to 6-3. They continue being undefeated at home. They beat the Giants 48-10. But be sure to like and subscribe for more Cowboys content. Be sure to check out the Madden prediction video that's jumping out tomorrow, and also the post-game reaction video Sunday afternoon. Be sure to comment down below your defensive, your offense predictions, and your game prediction, and your score prediction, and I will see you guys after the game. Go Cowboys.
Prescott, touchdown.